All right.
Hi, everybody. My name is Helenique Argeru, and this is the Woman of Truth Wisdom Circle series. And I'm talking today to a very special lady called Pattichi. She actually is based in Cyprus. She has a clinical psychological degree where she actually studied in America at the University of Indianapolis. And she has some very interesting add-ons to that profession, like she studied social anthropology, and she actually also has some social science experience and something from the School of Economics. So in the years, 20 years later, in fact, she studied a little bit more, and she has brought herself into life coaching as well now, but studies and adds on a few things during those years as well, like NLP and hypnosis, and really is backed by a group of people, a following in Cyprus that honor and respect the work that she does as a transformational life and success coach. And she goes under this name of Transform Now. So a deep warm welcome to Ani Pattichi. Lovely to have you from Cyprus, sunny Cyprus. And welcome to you, Ani. Thank you for coming on to talk to us.
Well, thank you, Helen, for inviting me on this exciting journey. And I was just commenting that we do come or exactly are in different parts of the world right now.
The weather is not always so sunny like it is in Cyprus. So if you can get yourself to Cyprus at some point, that would be a great thing. We boast about, 7 or 8 months of summer. It's about 8 months in Cyprus.
Something like that, yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, Ani, I'm intrigued by the life of Ani Pattichi and how you came to be a woman who is really devoted and dedicated to helping other people, and how the journey has been for you. And so one way that we can get to know a little bit more about you and your wisdom is to know about something that happened for you that was life-changing, like a breakthrough experience that you might have. I mean, I think many lives have many, and the one that you've had would help us understand maybe also what your real life learning and your life lesson was from that probably informed what motivates you to be there to help others. So do you think you can share with us something that happened for you?
Yes, sure. Well, as you said, something did happen, life transforming for me. Have you heard of the term the wounded healer?
Yes.
So it's something like that. When I was about 28 or something, I was as dark as they come. It's, as dark as most of my clients come to me. And I didn't really want to go on living because I had no meaning. I had no purpose. I was unemployed. I was living with my parents at the time because I didn't have any income myself. I had a bad back, a slipped disc. So everything was falling apart in a way. And I was smoking too much. I was drinking too much. All the the things that can go wrong in a person. I was that. Even though on the outside everybody thought I was a very happy person. Okay. But inside, I remember, I was thinking that, outside you may see me smiling, but inside I'm screaming. Okay. So one day when, I used to sort of go out all night and wake up at around noon, that kind of lifestyle. So one day I walked down and got my coffee and opened the newspaper and saw this half-page ad of the Silva Mind Control. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am.
And it intrigued me, especially when I started reading what it could do to you, etc. And there was a free lecture the night. It was a Friday night, and I said, I'm going to go to this. Something really pulled me to go. All right, and I did, and that was what changed my life. I followed the Silva Mind Control. I did the whole thing. I met Jose Silva himself in a conference, and it was one of the most wonderful times. I also met Yuri Geller, the guy that bends the spoons. And all of this was so new and so transformative for me. And I started living a completely different life. I was full of life. I stopped drinking and smoking and everything. That was, as if it wasn't part of my life anymore. And I got a very good job. And I was earning about 3 times the average of the average at the time. So I moved out of my parents' home and got my own place. And that, started changing me completely, becoming more independent. And after about 10 years of doing this kind of internal work with myself, I had also eventually opened my own company. I left being an employee, and I opened my own company, which was a recruitment and event organizing and public relations company. And I was doing very, very well. One day I read somewhere, and this is back in 1995, okay? One day I read somewhere that there are these personality tests that you can give your candidates in employment. So you'll see which one has the more qualifications as such for the job. And because I was in a way headhunting and doing upper level recruitment, I found that intriguing. And I went to a friend of mine who was the dean of Intercollege and asked him whether I could be trained in personality tests. And he said, well, you need to become a psychologist first. So that's what started my second round of studies. I started doing psychology when I was about 37 years old. After that, as they say, the rest is history, as in psychology won me over. I started focusing more and more on, seeing clients as a psychologist.
Right.
And after a while, practicing what I had been taught at university, I saw that psychology was not really what I wanted to give to my clients. And I started adding on a lot of other modalities so I could have a more holistic and full approach to my clients. And the first thing that I added was hypnotherapy.
Okay.
And then I started adding the coaching and the NLP and the EFT. So all of that gives me a wider perspective. And also I started focusing a lot more on the spiritual aspect of the person. Okay. So in what I give my clients is the understanding that they're a soul that's developing over time and not just this body, okay? So that changes the way people perceive who they are and why they're here and what they're here to do.
Beautiful. So when you did this transformation yourself, what was the thing that it taught you about life? What did you learn about life during that transformation?
Well, looking at it from now, I mean, I would say that the first thing it taught me was that life is beautiful and life is worth living, and life should have a meaning.
Okay.
As in having a purpose in life. And that's why I also belong in a lot of volunteer, charity organizations, because that's very important to give your help to other people. So, and helping others find meaning in their own life.
Got it. So there's an interesting shift there for you, right at 28, coming on into 37. And
Yes.
as a child, around the age of 8 years old or so, can you take your mind back there and let us know now what you know about life, all this transformation that's happened for you and the way that you apply it to help others? What kind of advice would you give your 8-year-old little girl?
Okay. Well, let me tell you who I was when I was 8 years old. I was a very shy, and I was fearful of a lot of things.
Right.
It's as if that 8-year-old doesn't belong to me anywhere anymore. It's another lifetime, but I do remember being afraid of a lot of things, and also being very, very shy, which is something that completely changed once I went to high school, because I became an extrovert then.
Right.
So that was another shift.
So what would you tell that 8-year-old now?
What would I tell an 8-year-old? To trust whatever happens in life.
Right.
To find their talents and pursue them, regardless of whatever. If people tell that 8-year-old, but it's not a good thing to pursue or whatever, still do it. Follow your dreams, follow your talents, because once you do that, then everything comes together, and things just happen for you, so you can succeed. And success obviously is a different thing for different people, because a lot of people just think of success as financial success or a job success, but it's a wider concept. So yeah, that's what I would say to the 8-year-old, to find their talents. And obviously, if I was the caretaker, I would help that 8-year-old find the talents and pursue them.
Great. So there's a very special saying that we are being true to what we were born to do when we start to follow our higher destiny, that we are actually here with a purpose. And it sounds like you tap into that and you bring that forth. And I'm now thinking a lot about women in general that have come across your path, and all you have known socially, personally, and the women that you work with. Since this is really a campaign to talk about more truth amongst women, one of the main areas of inquiry is this following question about the biggest lie that women believe in life. What would you say it is? What is it that women tend to carry and deceive themselves with, or maybe get conditioned and programmed to believe about themselves? And what would you say is the big truth instead of the lie?
Well, if it's a lie, it's that they're not good enough, or they're not enough.
They're not enough as women, or they're not enough as a woman.
In general, not just as women. It could be, as a mother, as a professional, as a friend, as everything. Because women take on so many different roles during the day, and everybody expects that woman to be perfect in each role.
Right.
Whereas we don't expect it of men. The saying, boys will be boys or men will be men, is still there, and it's still very active in the mind of a lot of people. Whereas women are not allowed to be girls will be girls. Therefore, they need to play all these roles to what they perceive to be perfection, because there is no perfection, by the way. Nobody can achieve perfection. Because your perfection is not mine, and the other way around. So what is perfect? So,
And it's interesting to notice that this comes up a lot with the women I've spoken to. That seems to be probably the most famous answer, is that we are carrying around this idea that we're not enough. And you link it nicely to being perfectionistic and expecting perfection from ourselves much more than men do, and society probably also helps us to do that, to expect more from ourselves than is even possible. Perfection doesn't exist. So I hope everybody listening is taking this good guidance from the two of us to be assured that this perfection we keep trying to achieve unconsciously doesn't really exist as women. And still there are so many movements now, as there have been throughout time, but it seems like they are increasing. I'm not sure what you think. These women movements, the rise and awakening of women in businesses, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, there's a huge influx of online business by women. And I just heard yesterday from a really interesting speaker as well from New York, that 90% of buying power is in the hands of women, that women are the ones that make the decisions ultimately about whether something will happen statistically. And so politics, engineering, technology, science, these are all fields they're encouraging women to get into. So what do you think about this women's movement, and what would you add to it? What's your take on it all?
Well, we're at that stage of the revolution, let's say. I mean, the revolution started early 20th century, but it's still here. We've made a lot of changes, but we're still, you know, should I use the word grappling with things that are still deep-rooted. And especially, you know, in Cyprus, and I'm guessing in most Mediterranean countries and in this area, the mentality hasn't completely changed as opposed to Northern European countries.
Right.
So the revolution for me is still here. We're still part of it. Well, as an Aquarian, I'm part definitely of that revolution. And this is what I give as an idea and as a concept, and should I say as a gift to most of my lady clients, that, you know, they should stand up for themselves and start doing things in a different way. Okay. And I know I'm putting more emphasis on my women clients, but in a way I give my men clients as well an idea of what it's like to be on the receiving end of the of men's world, let's say, and they do appreciate that.
Yeah.
So it's part. I think it's part of our life mission. We at least I belong to the generation of baby boomers. Okay. And it's our life mission to you know, to probably complete this revolution. So there will be no discrimination. I mean, there's discrimination in salaries. There's discrimination in what positions a woman can have. There's discrimination in the products that we buy. We, you know, the same product sold to a man and sold to a woman has a price difference. Yeah. Usually men's products are cheaper, and it's exactly the same thing. The one is blue and the other one is pink, let's say. And that has you know, a steeper price. So it's something that we need to help make the changes.
And what do you see in that it's a Mediterranean country where there really is a different way that gender and men and women interact? What would you say is your experience of the way women receive this kind of advice? Do you see them going out there and making changes? Do you see them still a little bit afraid? What do you think they really need a little bit more of that maybe other women around you, the rest of Europe might not need in quite the same way?
Well, empowerment, obviously. But what I find is that the majority of the women that you know, complete the course with me do feel empowered enough to follow whatever they want to follow. And I've had a lot of my clients who've actually become therapists themselves which I find amazing. But there are some other women that are afraid to make the step. And when that happens, I usually find it's their surrounding, the family and friends that are keeping them behind. They have a lot of reaction from their environment. And once that happens, they're not so ready to make the leap, let's say. But most of them are. And I find that beautiful to watch.
Yeah, that's very exciting. So it's really got some, the environment supporting that transformation as well, in order for it to complete in most cases, really, for that to happen.
Yes.
So it's time now for us to learn a bit more about, pardon me, your passion projects. What are you most focused on these days? What are you interested to share with us as something that we can look forward to from you from 2019 onwards? What can we stand by for?
Well, my passion, as you know, it came out, is to empower women so they can pursue their talents and their life goals, and also to realize their spirituality and how that can totally transform the way that they perceive everything in their life, from death to birth to events in their life, that it's something that the soul has chosen from a level from the level of the soul, and that it's something that you wanted to experience in order to grow, to develop, to have small self-awareness, to help others, whatever that the case may be. So by incorporating the spiritual aspect of who we are, it completely transforms a person's life. And that's why I say I'm a transformational life coach. I just don't give people advice about their life. I try to help them transform their life.
Yeah.
Perception of life.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just because we are on that subject, I wanted to run past this question to you, where I've also experienced that myself, and not often, but it happens. And I wondered your take on it, where people might have a kind of resistance or a reaction to the idea of the soul or spirituality, or they might not be believers of anything higher or beyond their own life, that they're much more practically focused. And how would you go, or how do you go around that when someone is, let's say, not relating to that spiritual part of themselves yet?
There are two things that I can tell you here. The first is that for most of my clients, I believe there is a guidance from their higher self to bring them here. So if there's that guidance for their higher self to bring them here, most of them are open to this kind of intervention. Okay. For the few that are not open to this intervention, I just tell them that it's my philosophy. It doesn't have to become your philosophy. What I'm hoping is that I help you expand your vision so you can find your own truth. Because finding your own truth over and above any dogma, which might be a religion, might be I don't know what else, is very important for you to be free of any limitations. So I try to show them that, they don't have to believe in what I believe in, or experience the things that I'm experiencing, but at least be open to an expansion, and you take it from there in whatever direction you want to take it.
Well, that's
there are some who don't want to do it, but that's very few.
Yeah, and I think it's a great approach, and I can imagine that working really well, because ultimately it is about truth and personal truth, and we all have
Yes.
our own approach to that. But knowing that you go beyond your own limitation or blind spot, and whatever you want to call that, it's
Exactly.
important to find where you are beyond your own ego. So that's a great way to put it to them. So we've come to a point now where we really send out 3 words to the audience, to the woman watching, the woman not watching, and they are your special 3 words. They can be connected or they can be separate, just powerful words that for you sum up some meaning that is really significant to you, and then you can just share with us why you've chosen those 3 words.
Okay, well, that's piece of cake for me. They would be love, they would be choice, and they would be gratitude.
Okay.
Uh,
Tell us a little bit
so
about,
these are,
yeah,
um,
about choice.
well,
Use that word.
oh, choice. Okay, well, let's start with choice. It's the down to earth one. Okay. Yeah. Well, our life is all about choice, and we are 100% responsible for all the choices that we have ever made. Okay. So once you stand behind the choices that you make as a hero and not as a victim, because most people make choices and then they victimize themselves. So it's a matter of standing behind your choices as a hero. And when you do that, you become empowered. And once you realize that you are 100% responsible for any choice you ever make, then you stop whining. Okay, so choice is at the foundation of what I do here. I teach people about choice, and I show them about their own choices and how they can shift their choices around and change their life.
Beautiful.
Yeah. When we come to love, which I think is the most important word in everybody's, it should be in everybody's vocabulary, and it's the most powerful energy in the universe. I don't think there's anything more powerful than love. It's, the light eating up darkness. Darkness can never eat up light. So love is, being a beacon in the darkness and helping other people see their own light and bring their own light into focus. And gratitude, well, just by saying the word gratitude, you just mellow down. You start seeing the world in a different way, and you start focusing on the things that you are grateful for. From the smallest thing to the biggest thing. Like, well, just before we started, I picked up my cat Orion and showed him to you. So I'm very grateful for having him in my life. And my 3 beautiful furry friends remind me of this every day, to be grateful for their presence, to be grateful for their unconditional love. But once you start focusing your life on being grateful for everything from the plant on my veranda to the glass of water that's sitting next to me, to the fact that I'm talking to you, to everything, to the technology that's helping us do this. So yeah, life should be full of gratitude. And you see, there's a smile. I mean, you can't say gratitude without a smile.
Yeah, such a joy.
That would have been the 4th word, by the way, smile.
Okay. So there's such a sense of joy coming through what you've shared with us. The 3 words, I will be very happy to share them with people on this video, and I look forward to hearing more about you and how you're doing in the groups. Let us know on Fridays, maybe even some inspiration from you on Friday from all this wonderful teaching that you have to give others. And thank you so much for joining us. We wish you a wonderful rest of the day in Cyprus. I'm sure it will be with the sun shining. And thank you so much for your time, Annie.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you very much, and good luck with everything that you're doing. You are a wonderful person.